As spring inches closer, we begin to hear more and more birdsong all around us. And a really good question to ask this time of year is, are the voices that we're hearing singing just for the sake of singing, singing to attract a potential mate or partner, or are they singing in response or reply to someone else? Today, during the Mindful Bird Sit, we're going to see if we can figure this out. Hey, bird lover, welcome to the Mindful Bird Sit. If you're new here, my name is Kristi, and I help people connect deeply with birds and nature while boosting their confidence, elevating their skills, and helping them to fall more in love with life. If that's something you'd like to do, please consider liking and subscribing. You can also check out my game-changing course called Identify Any Bird Anywhere. All right, let's get started. Can you hear a reply? So hear a song and then can you hear a reply? And again, it could be a dog barking, it could be a person talking. Like, is there a reply that you can hear out there in the world? And sometimes there's not. Maybe it's a raindrop. Can you hear a reply to the raindrop or the wind blowing? And just to have that question, like, what's the reply right now? And can I stretch my ears to listen for that? Maybe it's a chip note. Maybe it's not just a song. You know, can you hear that bird's partner just chipping back to it? And so that's what we'll do today is we're going to listen for the reply. But first, what I want to do, this is something that's really good to remember before you head out birding, whether it's in your own backyard or whether it's to like a new birding location, maybe you're going to go on a hike or something, is I always take just a couple moments to ground myself and really to find myself. Like, where am I right now? Who am I right now? Who am I bringing myself to this new landscape? And even if it's again my backyard, um, who am I showing up as right now? And so just taking a moment to find myself and to ground myself and center myself. So we're going to do that part first, which is a piece of what we always do, but we're going to go a little bit deeper and do one other layer with that today. And then we'll move into the practice. Okay, so yeah, so today's a good day. Wow, all of you guys are outside. Nice job, except for Joy and Della and me. Oh, our top row is we're all the indoor folks. So for those of you who are indoors, just crack a window because today is about sound. And if you're outside, you're good to go. Just set yourself up in a place where you feel like you can hear well. So let's begin first. We can keep our eyes open, and actually let's begin first with owl eyes. So we'll begin by looking and finding something, a point to focus on. Let your eyes just focus on that one point. Again, it could be near or far, whichever one you prefer today. And then after you've found that point to focus on, allow your eyes just to start to soften and to expand. Allow your vision to expand, going further and further and further out as you're looking. So you're still looking at that one central point, but your eyes and your vision have just expanded and expanding in all directions, right and left, up and down, side to side. How far can you look and stretch in each direction? And just start to notice what you start to perceive, things that you might not have picked up on before when you first started looking. Great. And while you're in owl eyes, just stay in that nice softened vision. Take a nice deep breath and smell the air this morning. Is anything new? Maybe it's the same as last time you were conscious of what the air smelled like. But see if you can find something new or different in the air this morning. All right, good work. So still staying aware, staying in owl eyes and being conscious of the smells that are around you. Now we're going to start to tap into our ears. So first, listening for the sounds that are nearest to you and even very close, like your own breath. And then slowly, just like you do with owl eyes, how you slowly start to expand your vision, slowly start to expand your awareness of sound further and further and further out. How far can you stretch your sense of hearing this morning? Okay, good work. And so, because today's practice is going to focus on sound, I'm going to give you the option to keep your eyes closed during the practice or to keep them open. But just for this next portion of our preparation, let's close our eyes because we're going to go inward right now. So close your eyes, and I want you to focus on your breath first. And we're going to add a little layer to this today. So, again, like I said before, it's good to, before you step out into the world and connect with nature, to find your own self, your own center, find out who you are in this moment. And so, we're going to listen today and tap in beyond judgment, beyond critique, beyond the thoughts and the noise. And we're going to focus on all of our base element, which is love. So, as you bring your awareness and your attention to your breath, following that from your nose all the way down into your lungs, I want you to send love to that portion of your body right now, from your nostrils all the way down into your lungs. Send some good love to your lungs this morning. And then, after you've taken a few breaths, gently shift your attention over to your heart, which is very near to your lungs. And send some love to your heart this morning. You can even think of the ways that you're grateful for your heart right now. Becoming aware of its beat and its rhythm. You've all got your own rad little drummer girl in there, and she's just drumming away every day for you. So good. All right, now let's move down to our intestines, someplace that we don't think about unless we have to think about quite often. You can even put your hand on your belly if you want to, if that helps you to bring your attention there. And just send some love and some gratitude to your intestines right now. That long, beautiful path that the food enters and travels through your body, providing you with nourishment all throughout your day. And now expanding over into your organs, your kidney, your liver, your bladder, your uterus, if you still have it. And if any of those are missing or no longer a part of your physical body right now, just send that space love. Send that organ love, even if it's not there anymore. And if it is, send it some love as well. Just taking some time to remember ourselves this morning. And now we're going to Send our energy and our awareness down to the soles of our feet, that part of our body that connects with the earth. So finding each toe, the bottom of each toe. You can even wiggle them a little bit to bring some attention to them. Your heel, the arch of your foot. And just send some love to that part of your body right now. And then we're going to move up to your ankle and your calf. Thinking of how those parts of your body can be flexible. You can even rotate them a little bit. Giving some love to those parts of your body. And then we move to your knees. You can even, if you want to, if you're in a position to, you can put your hands on your knees right now. Give some love to your knees. And then moving up to your thighs, the big strong muscle in your body does so much for us on a daily basis. Sending some love to your thighs, and then we're moving up to our hips next. The hips, the foundation for our bodies, a place that holds emotions for a lot of people. Sending some love to your hips. And then we'll move to the base of our spine. So that little teeny bone at the base of your spine. If we were to have a tail, I guess that would be the tail of our bodies. And just take it one at a time, vertebrae by vertebra, moving up, slowly up your spine. Just sending some love to that beautiful spine of yours. And think of all of the parts of our body that interact with our spine. All of the different veins and arteries and all of the electrical systems that move through our spine right now. And then going all the way to the top of your spine, to your skull. Tapping in and sending some love to your skull and what's inside of it, that beautiful brain of yours. Allowing you to process all of life. Thinking the interesting thoughts that you think throughout the day. And then we'll shift over to our eyes, thinking of all the beautiful things that you see on a daily basis, and even just this morning. And your nose, allowing you to smell the air around you. And then to your ears, hearing the world, giving some love and attention to your ears. And then over to your mouth, where you speak to others. And also where food and drink enters your body. You can sing and whistle and laugh and share goodness with the world in this way. And now just take it all in, all of who you are this morning. Sending love to yourself and all of who you are. And then thinking about the world around you right now and those of us together here in this space. You can send love out to all of us and the world around you. And so now we're ready to play. You can keep your eyes closed or you can open them if you'd like. Our attention will be on our ears this morning. So I want you to find a sound. Maybe it's a sound that's repeating. That's great. And your only task is to find the reply. Who is replying or responding to the call, the song, the drop, the wind, the whatever it is, the sound that you're hearing. And you can let yourself slowly move from one sound to another, but just bring your mind, your body, your heart back to the present moment if you start to wander. And we'll be in silence for the next couple of minutes. We'll just let ourselves stay here and enjoy this practice for a little while. Good work, everybody. So see if you can tell, if you can hear a, a reply. See if you can tell which voice is the first one. So maybe you hear multiple birds talking back and forth to each other. See if you can hear who the initiator is and who the responder is. Or again, maybe it's people, maybe it's dogs, maybe it's whatever, the wind. See if you can find the initiator and then who the responder is. Good work. So see if there's a part of your landscape that you haven't been listening into. Maybe there's a more vocal or vociferous part, but maybe there's another part that you haven't been listening quite so much to. And for the last couple of minutes, just shift your attention over to that portion of your landscape. Well done. So take the next moment or two to offer gratitude and thanks to those ones that you connected with today. And then you can end after you've done that by opening your eyes if your eyes have been closed, and just allow yourself to be with the landscape with your eyes open for just a few moments. All right. Nice job. High five, everybody. Let y'all come back. Hi, Anne. So, if you need to head out, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to be with you here in this space this morning. And if you're able to stay for our chat, then please do. And you all know the drill by this point. Who would like to go first and share their experience from this morning? All right, I see Linda, Cheryl, Della. Great. You guys are on it. I can push the button for you, Linda. Let's see. Here we go. Can you see that?
I should be unmuted, right?
Yep, you're great.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I just got it too. Okay, thanks. Yeah, just I had a cacophony of birds this morning. It's like a bird invasion. There are dozens of starlings. The starlings have just gotten here, and there were dozens of them out here. And then I couldn't tell the difference between them at all initially, and then I had a flicker pounding on the side of my house. And in response to that, one of the flickers was doing their signature call, and so they would go back and forth and back and forth. which was very interesting. And I wasn't able to see them, so I don't know what they were doing, what the other one was doing. But anyway, that went on for a while. The initiator at first was the one on the tapping on the side of the wall of the building, my house. But then there was quiet for a while, and then the other one started calling, and then the guy on the side of the house started tapping again. So they were going back and forth. And then the Blue Jays came, and they were doing two different calls. I heard them. They have so many different calls, though, but there's a distinct um, resonance or sound to the Blue Jays. So I was able to differentiate them in spite of all the starlings. The starlings just never stop until just a couple minutes ago. They took off for no reason, and now I have a lot of pine siskins just chattering with their screechy door, and a few goldfinches. So it was hard to determine exactly who started it and who, but it was very intriguing to think about, who's talking to who, and are they all talking to each other? I mean, I felt like the Blue Jays came, saw all the starlings, and said to each other, hey, there goes a neighborhood, let's go someplace else. I mean, they just took off. But anyway, that's just my imagination. But
Yeah, no, I'm so there with you. I love geeking out about that stuff and like wondering, like what's the first call of the starling that tells everybody else like, all right, the Jays are here, we're gonna go, or like who's the first one to initiate that, and then who's the
Mhm.
response and the reply. And I love that you were listening to the flicker. And yeah, now I'm so curious. It's like, was that a male to male kind of thing? Was it
Yeah.
like or was it a male? I don't know. Do female flickers make sound? Like, I actually don't know. And so, like, was that a male drumming and a female responding? Or, like, anyway, so it's really interesting when you start to think about, like, the deeper layers of sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that,
Yes.
Linda. That's
Yeah.
so, like, how
Yeah.
much, you had a lot going on there this morning.
Yeah. I know spring is peeking around the corner, so
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah.
Yay. Sweet. Thanks so much.
You bet. Thank you.
Hmm. All right. I think we had, who was next? Cheryl, you were next.
Um, I have a wide variety of birds here in my backyard today, and the juncos were the most vociferous, but usually they're very, very quiet. But they were doing these little almost purr sounding calls back and forth to each other. And then I was forced to open my eyes because it didn't sound like juncos. But then I looked, and it was the juncos that were doing it. And they were fighting over the mealworm feeder. And so and I thought, well, but you usually are okay taking turns. Everybody gets a chance. So I closed my eyes again. But then I started hearing the crows and the acorn woodpeckers. And the crows would call, and then the acorn woodpeckers would squawk. And that went on. And it didn't seem like they were talking to each other, but rather trying to talk over each other more than anything else. And then, um, and then I heard probably a nuttall's drumming. And then the acorns just got really upset, really, really, really. They started flying around and squawking everywhere. So then the nuttals disappeared. I don't know why, but the persistent one was the oak titmouse. Yes, the oak titmouse, who seems to have a louder voice at this time of year. I don't know why. Usually, I can't hear it in the front from the front yard to the backyard, but that's what I've been hearing a great deal recently. And when I go outside, that's what I hear first thing. So I didn't hear any robins today, and I usually do. but it was quite exciting. It was just very, very exciting and very noisy, very noisy. Plus, we had a lot of big, heavy trucks driving up and down the street, and all kinds of mayhem. And we had a red shoulder hawk, and then everything got really quiet. And I thought, oh no, it's all over. But they just were momentarily catching their breath so they could start making noise again. So it just busy, busy day, busy day.
Busy. Yeah. Wow, wow. I was wondering if anyone was going to hear any, what would that be? Not inter, but intra? No, yeah, interspecies, where it's like between two different species, basically. I think intra is the same species, so
Mhm.
interspecies. Yeah. Um, so if anyone was going to hear any different species communicating or replying to one or the other, and whether that's us perceiving that or that's really happening, don't know. But sometimes it's a little too like coincidental to have it not be a response or a reply. Yeah. Super interesting, Cheryl. Thanks for sharing all that. And yeah, with the oak titmouse and just the nuttles, and if the nuttles caused the acorns to get upset, or was there something else, like, and the fact that the nuttles did disappear, that is interesting to wonder about their relationship, the relationship of different woodpeckers.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, especially right now with them looking for, probably some great housing opportunities. You
Yes.
know? Yeah, yeah. Super interesting. Thank you. Thanks, Cheryl. Della, you are up.
Okay. Well, I had a Junko that was just constantly, very loudly shaking his tiny tambourine outside the window here. And then, as soon as you said for us to start the exercise, he stopped and everything went quiet. No birds, nothing. And I thought, oh, this is typical. I start the exercise and nothing happens. And then finally I heard a robin, and then it got further away, and then it got further away. It was on its way down to Cheryl's house. And it gets further and further away. And then finally, at the very end, the Junco started singing again. So I don't know what happened, but it seems like maybe there was an intruder.
Yeah, it sounds like something caused them, because like it seems like they wanted to be vocal, the vibe I'm getting from your story anyways, the Juncos wanted to be vocal because they were for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
something maybe caused them to be quiet, and then they got vocal again. The robin was, getting further and further away. That's interesting, Della. Yeah. I wonder who or if anyone was out there joining them this morning.
I did not hear a response. I was listening carefully for a response, but it was the robin every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes the silence is the response to something else. You know what
Yes.
I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's interesting, Della. Thank you for that. hmm Um, at one point during my practice this morning, I heard those two things that were kind of fun. They were actually car related. One was that I don't know which came first necessarily, but I heard as a car went by on the road nearby here, I heard the water because it's been raining all night long. So I heard the water, and I was like, "Oh, that's the water in response to the tires." It's like as a tire goes around the water, it's it kind of makes that sound. And I was like, "Oh yeah, the water is replying to the tire right now." Like it's making the sound. And then I heard, and I'll ask you all what this means. A car went by, and I heard doot 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 doot. It's like a beep 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 beep. So what does that usually mean when you hear a car do that? What's the intention of that sound? What were you saying, Julia?
Baby shark.
Oh, baby shark. Okay, that's good. That's funny. Nice. So what does it usually mean? Like when a car goes by and they go beep 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 beep. Yeah, exactly. They're waving. So then I got thinking, I was like, oh, is that the reply? Like to someone else that they saw? Or was that the initiator, the person that was just like, oh, I see my friend. And they're like, beep, 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 beep. Like, oh, hey. So it just got me wondering, like, was that the reply or was that the initiator? And yeah, and how we all know what that vibe is. It wasn't like, nah, nah, like we know what that means, like, get out of the way or you jerk or whatever, versus like, beep, 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 like, hey, my friend. Yeah, so there were people out there that were communicating with one another today. And yeah, and I did hear a sound, like a bird vocalization that I wasn't super familiar with. And I was really wishing I was outside because I was really only able to hear this certain like section of the forest that's outside because everything else is wall in the house here, but the windows are over here. And so then I forced myself when I asked us that last portion of the talk, or the sit, I asked us to listen to places that we haven't been listening, and I was like, well, I haven't been listening inside my house really because there's like no wild sounds here. But I do have this lamp, this light that lights up the room, for doing Zooms and stuff like that. And it's got like a fan, and I can hear the fan. And then I started to wonder, like, well, the fan's responding to something, like it's replying to something. And I was like, oh, it's replying to like the electricity. And like, could I hear the electricity? And then it just got really fun to like see how like deep I could go with that sound and that thought, of like, this I hear the fan all the time when I turn this light on. It just kicks in right away. But that fan is in response to something, and then again, yeah, it just got me really thinking about electricity, which I think is a good thing. We all have that in our body. We have electricity, and then we have the electricity that makes our house work. And how often do we just not think about that every day? We just take it for granted in a sense of like, flick, it's on, yay, great, you're working, like, thanks, light. Um, but anyway, it was really kind of fun actually to get sort of deep with this light over here that is a great, it provides great service to me doing the work that I do. So yeah, some of my deep thoughts this morning. Anyone else? Who else wants to share their experience? Yeah, Gabrielle, please. And then Julia, was that a wave of a hand or just, yeah, okay. Okay, great.
Well, today's trash day, and the trash trucks are really loud. And before they started up, there was a lot of bird noise. And when the trucks started making their noise, it completely went quiet with the birds. And I was really annoyed of that noise. And then the conductor, I call him, her, uh, were the crows. And the crows started, they were the initiators and started up. um, it felt like a conductor calling their orchestra to come back and and sing. So pretty soon the songbirds, and I don't identify them enough, but they all started slowly doing their thing. And then they would kind of go quiet, and the crows would try to get them to to sound again. It was really fun. Um, and then when the the trucks went to a different neighborhood and they weren't so loud anymore, I heard a new sound, and I was just racking my brain what that sound was. And it sounded more insect like, and it was very close by. And then I saw a hummingbird, and I think that might have been the new sound. But in terms of intercommunication, that was happening the whole time, which is fascinating.
Yeah, that's really rich, Gabrielle. Thank you so much. Um, I sometimes when I've taught bird language courses live in person with groups and schools and things like that, and um, I remember this one time I was actually teaching the folks. They were the instructors at BOSS. It's Boulder Outdoor Survival School in Boulder, Utah, and um, I often have them play this game, you know, where like some of them are songbirds and some of them are, there's like a jay in the game, and then there's like a robin, and then sometimes we have some people play hawks and cats and whatever, just to see how people can, like, you can actually feel what the birds will feel, you know, when these different things happen. And it was really interesting, and I thought intricate, the relationship that these people birds had with the jay, because two of the birds, I forget, maybe I made them, I think I made them like song sparrows or something. And I told them they had a nest. So these two song sparrows had a nest and they had to protect it. And the jay kept trying to come over and sneak and steal their eggs. And so for the majority of the game or this scenario, these song sparrows and the other birds didn't like the jays because they were just causing trouble, you know. But there was one moment where whatever, just the different predators were coming through, and like a cat, and we had a hawk and whatnot, and the jays were the first one to alarm. And there was one point, and I always have everyone like tell, like we do different scenarios throughout it, and then I have everyone sort of reflect and give me feedback about it, to tell me like what they experience in their own body from each of their perspectives. Like, what did the jay experience? What did the junco experience? What did the robin and vice, and et cetera, et cetera. And then what did the predator experience? But anyway, one of the, I think it was actually one of the song sparrows was saying how, I think at one point the jay like went and hid and got quiet. And this, I think that the hawk had flown through and the jay got quiet. And the song sparrow person was saying like how they actually really wanted the jay around, because the jay would be the one to sort of scare that hawk away because it's a bit more aggressive and a bit more assertive. Um, and so there was just this really intricate relationship. Like sometimes the jay's like the bad guy, and other times the jay sort of is like the savior. And I'm thinking of your story with the crows. You know, like sometimes the crows are the troublemakers, you know, they do steal eggs as well. But other times, like maybe it's a sign to the other birds that all is well, like whatever the trouble was in the neighborhood. Like when the crow comes back and the crow starts talking, maybe the other birds start to feel a bit more confident. I'm like, okay, like the crow's talking, and maybe now we can come back and do our thing. And yeah, it just reminded me of that this morning in your story, Gabrielle. And I don't, you know, I don't know. Again, this is just, I'm just making this up, but it could be what was happening and could not. So, but yeah, it's fun to think about this, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I love starting my week with this, but
Yeah.
I've got to go. So,
Okay. All right. Great to have you, Gabrielle. See you next time. Mhm. Yeah, Julia, go for it.
Well, whenever you ask us to listen to birds, it's usually the Carolina wren that says,
Mm,
okay, I'll play, you know.
yeah.
So they came through. There was one in the distance, and it was one of these calls, less melodious, but it would have like 7 discrete little sounds. And there was an answer here closer to me, and this one would get out 2 sounds, and then that one in the distance would interrupt, and this went on, and it was like, you know, this one couldn't get a word in edgewise, and then it eventually, the one in the distance stopped repeating, you know, making so many sounds, and allowed this one to get more in. And you know, before that one took back over. And so definitely they were in some kind of conversation. And it was interesting. I'd never noticed anything like that before.
Oops. The Carolina Wrens are really fun to listen to because there's so many layers, and then you get the female vocalization wrapped in there too, if you can listen for that. But to hear like male to male conversation, and I do notice that even the cardinals near where I am, they do the same kind of thing where one is like louder and kind of a bit more intense, and there's another one that's like not even too far away, but it's a little bit quieter, maybe like not as tough as the guy over here. And I don't know.
Mm.
Again, that's like sort of my story about it, but I just wonder about those relationships, you know, and like in your observation of the one that was like a bit more dominant, maybe louder, had more vocalization, and then the other one that was a little bit quieter. And yeah, isn't it? I feel like I get taken into a different world when, or into their world anyway, you know, when I start to listen in this different way. I don't know if you had that experience at all, Julia.
Hmm. Well, I was curious why this one was allowed to, the
Uh-huh.
one in the distance either allowed this one to vocalize a little bit longer, like, I was doing two, then it got in little three little
Yeah.
pips, and whether this one was getting braver and just said, no, you're not going to cut me off, or if
Yeah.
that one said, oh, there's somebody over there, maybe I should pay attention.
Uh-huh.
Who
Right. Like,
knows?
yeah, did something
But
else
it's
catch the
curious.
dominant one's attention? Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I love those questions. I love the questions that you have about that. Yeah. Yeah, and then have you been aware of these particular individuals before, that there's like the one that's over there and the one that's near you?
I have heard them in the distance and one closer
Yeah,
answering back and forth, or
yeah, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so now it'll be fun to like try to listen for the female and see if there's a female near either of them that's responding. Fun. That's cool, Julia. Thank you so much. Yeah. Woo. All right. And yeah, Anne, go for it. And then Jackie. Yep.
Well, my bird moment happened, I think it was Thursday, and it was bluebirds. Normally they're in a group and they're that soft little chatter together. I had come out of the woods and there's a prairie and then a farm lane. This one bluebird was yelling from the woods, and a bluebird would answer from the lane,
Mm.
woods, lane, and it became incessant. And I
Mm.
knew it was like, wait a minute, that's not the group of them on the telephone line. And it became quicker. And finally the male flew out of the woods and I could see him across the prairie, found whoever he was looking for on the lane. It
Oh.
was like they were, here I am. Oh, there you are there. And there they were on the lane. And then
Oh.
I could hear them because I was far away. And it was like, yeah, this is it. They were calling and calling back, and it got quicker and louder, and it was like, okay, yeah, they found each other. And it wasn't the group of them just kind of softly chattering and flying together. They were looking, and they were bluebirds, and I knew it was the male. It was like, there's no doubt about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it
Wow.
was. And I've got the group of grackles here with a few red-winged blackbirds and some cowbirds mixed in. And I don't know what they're talking about. They're just imitating each other. And I'm not sure who's saying what, but they're all here and it's warm and sunny. So
Yeah. Well,
all's right.
and I can hear them now in the background. I
Oh,
think,
I couldn't have turned it on earlier because I was about ready to cover my head.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I think the important part, like with Linda too, with all the starlings, for instance, when you get into one of those situations, um, is to just try to listen for these questions, because it is easy just to sort of block it all out and be like, oh, it's just a bunch of noise, like because they're very like starlings, grackles, those birds are very loud and very noisy. But then if you like just make the attempt to try to listen for the one, like, can you find that one voice that's starting or that's talking to that one over there? And I think that's yeah, it just helps us to like just to shift the perspective just a little bit, And but thanks for the story about the bluebirds. And
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
like
I could I could hear the red-winged blackbird and then the grackle. I'm not sure who was starting it because there was so much of it, but they were imitating the red-winged blackbirds, and the grackles were
oh
imitating
wow.
each other. And there's the guy imitating the blue jay, I think. So I don't know what.
Interesting. Wow, it's so fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
what a fun time of year right now. This is
yeah.
rad. Thanks, Anne. All right, Jackie, go for it.
Well, I had a Della experience, so my comments aren't about the communications here, but at the beginning of the meditation, when you were having us go through our bodies, and you said the heart, and the heartbeats, we each have our own little rad drummer in there. And I remembered I had an echocardiogram and I got to see it live. And the little leaflets of our heart valves, they they clap with each other. It was so delightful, like our little leaflets of the it was just like so cool. And it's like we have all these organs that we really don't have much of a relationship with. We don't think about them that much. And I'm like, oh, my poor spleen. I never think about that. The thymus, uh, the, the gallbladder, the neglected organs, and it's like it made me have like this personal relationship with my heart of these little leaflets are just
Oh, that's
clapping like glad
beautiful.
to keep um doing their little rhythmic thing that they do.
Yeah,
And
like
it's
they are playing the drum, right? You know, little,
yeah, yeah,
that's
little
so
percussion going on there.
aw, what a gift. What a beautiful thing. That's so,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I had this, I think a lot of us being women, we probably had ultrasounds done, in our bellies before our uterus, whatever, and maybe you haven't before, but I have. And I remember there was one time I was just chatting it up with the lady who was doing it, and so she was just like getting all in there, and she was like, "Oh, this is this and this is that," and I could see it on the screen, and I think I was able, at one point, I was able to, I didn't know this, but I was able to see my bladder at one point. And you could see like liquid getting like squirted in there. And I was like, what's that? And she was like, oh, that's your bladder filling up. Because I think for, yeah, for the ultrasound, you have to like empty, no, you have to fill your bladder. That's what it is. You have to fill it. And then you're like really uncomfortable. That's the part. Yeah. So you have to fill it. You're really uncomfortable. But then it was like feeling, and I could see that, and I was like, I didn't know my bladder did that. Like that, like I mean, of course it fills up somehow, but like I don't know how that happens, But it actually you can see like liquid like squirting into it, and it was just like that's so cool. And ever since then, I've always been like, you're so cool. Like it's just so neat that you do that, and like having the visual really it can help. It shifts the relationship in some way, It's like you get to see a picture of like, oh, you're my little bladder, thanks. Yeah, I love that. Jackie, thank you for that. Beautiful,
Sure.
beautiful image. Yeah, that's great.
I love all the variety of the stories today. What a wide range of experiences.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, thanks everybody for sharing. Was there Della? Go for it. Yeah.
Well, you talked about this game that you played where everyone was different, but I want to play that game.
Yeah. Well,
That
next time
sounds
next time we do one of our retreats, we can do that. It was the winter time, so it wasn't really the best time for us to do that, but it's an awesome game. I love like every time I do it, I always learn something new, and it's really incredible how much we can. I mean, again, we don't really know, but when you put yourselves, and that's I'm always encouraging y'all to do this anyway, but like when you put yourself in the bird's feet, in their feathers and try to experience what it would be like to be a bird, it's really incredible the things that can start to come out. And just like Jackie was with seeing her heart, it's like you get to see the bird's world for a moment, from a slightly different perspective, and it just gives you a different connection or relationship with them. So yeah, thanks for saying that, Della, and I will make sure that we play that game next time.
oh, good.
Yeah. Sweet. Anyone else want to share before we head out? Any other stories want to be told? Well, last night officially was the close of the birdsong course, but if any of you want to sign up, there's still like a couple minutes because I haven't officially taken it down from the website. But I think a lot of you all here are taking the class, so we're looking forward to seeing you in there. And if you haven't already signed up, then jump on in there and go do it now because it's going to be an awesome, awesome class and a great way to get started for migration and for beginners and advanced people alike. That's it for now. I think we'll have a fun one. I don't know. We'll see if I'll do the same thing I thought of for next week because we kind of did a little bit of it today, but maybe we'll go deeper with it. Yeah, we'll have fun no matter what. So I'll see you all next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.